Hello, this is a longer Q&A for YouTube about Suzy Homemaker, my show that I'm taking on tour. Describe the show in 3 words. I would describe it as heartbreaking, comical, and feminist. Why did I make the show? I wanted to branch out and not just be a dancer in a company and start making my own work and really explore my own voice as an independent creator. What is Suzy Homemaker? So, Suzy Homemaker is a line of toys by Topper Toys, which is an American company. They started in 1966, is functional household appliances, but they are toys, and it's to teach girls to become the perfect wife just like their mother. It is a hideous concept, but I can't lie, the toys are really cute, so I'm very conflicted. What are the time periods that we explore in the show? So we explore 1903, 1929, and 1950s. The 1903 and 1929 is in England, and 1950s is American. Why are there no modern women in the show? This is actually a question that comes up quite a lot when we do the Q&As when we do the show. The main reason is that the whole point of the show is meant to be in a historical lens. I wanted to stop specifically at the 1950s because it's just before a really interesting wave of feminism in the 1960s, which is the sexual revolution. And the whole point of the show is to have it in this historical lens, but it's still kind of scary, a lot of the parallels that we have. So if I started bringing modern women into it, for me, it would lose the magic of the show. Where are we touring? The tour dates are on screen, and the link to book the tickets is in the description of the video. So I hope to see you there. Why do these stories matter now? Without getting too political, especially in England, I can only really speak from an English perspective, it's getting quite dicey here. And the show has always been relevant, but now even more so. There's a lot of vulnerable groups within our communities that are really starting to suffer. And the show has always been relevant, but now more so than ever. Is it dance or theatre? It's both. It's contemporary dance theatre. There's some balletic elements in there, but I would say it definitely leans more towards contemporary dance, and it is also a theatrical show. I wanted to make it not just a dance piece or a theatre piece. I wanted to combine the two because it makes theatre much more accessible. Ballet is wonderful, but a lot of people that I know that go and watch ballet that don't understand the mime language of ballet have no idea what's going on. So I want to always make work that is accessible and hopefully easy to understand. When did I start the work? So the birth of the concept of Suzy Homemaker started in 2021. So I've been creating and developing this show for the best part of 5 years. What surprised you in your research? Oh, so many things. I didn't really know a lot about the kind of burlesque era in the 1920s, and that was fascinating to kind of have this time period for women where there were still a huge amount of restrictions on what they could and couldn't do, but they no longer went from family house to marriage. Like there was an in between. They could work, they did have more rights, they could have their own money. And yes, there was still a huge amount of restrictions and things within this, but it was exciting. And that was really interesting because I didn't really know about that time period. I knew quite a lot about the suffragette movement, but even then, small things within research. Something that really stuck out to me in the suffragette movement is obviously we associate the tricolours with the suffragette movement, so the purple, white, and green. This actually wasn't really a thing until 1907, if I'm not mistaken. So because we're in 1903, we have like the cream sash with the black writing, which you can see behind me. Yeah, because we wanted to be as historically accurate as we could. Who did I get on board to help with the show? Now, I know I'm going to forget names, so I'm just going to get my laptop. Callum Holt, who is part of the Middle Floor Collective. My mentor and dramaturg, we had Jennifer Olga, who is a part of Displace Yourself Theatre. My movement and rehearsal director was Stefania Pinato. My sound designer and composer was Alice Gilmore. My movement specialists were Isabel Beccaro and Jenny Skinner, who helped specifically with the court dancing of Susanna and the burlesque movement of Miss S. My set designer was Lou Herbert. My historical consultant was Harriet Bradbury. My costume designer was Emilia Vogel. My wig maker was Harriet Rogers. My wig assistant and dresser is Katie Smith. Voiceover artist Phoebe Smith, Hope Shooter, and Dan Maligan. Lighting designer Chris Hanlon. Production manager Chris Hanlon. And finally, my stage manager for phase 1 of the show was Isabel Frost. And for the current phase, we have Evie Rostand. My photographer who took all of the amazing images is Ellie Welford Photography. My marketing manager for this stage of the show was Julia White. And for the previous phase was Josephine Sillers. What are some behind the scenes challenges that some people might not know about? A lot. The main thing is getting funding. It's really difficult to get funding in this current climate of making work. If we're talking about touring, there's a lot of things that can go wrong with touring. I mean, I have an amazing team that comes on tour with me. There's 4 of us that are a part of the team, but it's simple things like, the door for the get-in might be broken that day. So, the lift could be broken. It's all these kinds of things that really can massively impact your get-in time for the show, which then impacts your time to do the lighting, which then impacts time to do the walkthrough, all these kinds of things. One of the main behind the scenes challenges is the fast change from Susanna to Miss S. So how the show works is before the show starts, everything is set for Susanna, our suffragette character. That includes wigs, makeup, costume, all the set, everything. From Susanna to Miss S, who is our burlesque character, we have allowed ourselves 6-minute changeover, which includes all the set, the wig, makeup, and costume. But the aim is to do it in 4 minutes. Our current record is 2.5 minutes from blackout to starting. So this doesn't include me running off the stage into where I'm getting changed, which is sometimes the dressing room, but sometimes the dressing room is actually not that close to the stage. So we're in a corridor with like lights, and that's quite fun. It's like the adrenaline starts to kick in. How we designed the quick change. So I always knew that there would be a quick change from Susanna to Miss S. Miss S's wig sits underneath Susanna's. So Katie, my dresser, her main job is just get Susanna's wig off, make sure Miss S's is looking okay. Some of Miss S's costume is underneath Susanna's, so it's mainly the bra and the pants and the bloomers. But as I'm running, I'm literally like kicking Susanna's shoes off. So what has to happen is change of shoes, a corset has to go on, gloves have to go on, a coat has to go on. I always double check that the coat has the pearls in the pockets because Miss S uses them. And makeup wise, literally my brush is like preset. So I put slightly darker eyeshadow, I powder over. Susanna has like a beauty mark, so I like cover it, and then darker lips and earrings are changed as well. So we are as efficient as we can be with it, but it is still quite a lot to get done. Obviously, Katie helps as soon as she can, but the wig is quite a difficult transition because it is glued down. So it's just making sure that that comes off perfectly, and then Miss S's comes on. So that's how that fast change happens. I am going to be doing some behind the scenes, obviously not during the show because we're way too stressed to be doing that, but we are going to be practicing the quick change when we're doing our tech days. So I will definitely take some behind the scenes of that. Then we have an interval, which is 20 minutes. Suzy's set is the most complex, so it needs time to be set up. The audience will want a quick little break as well, but we have time to get into Suzy's, which is great because that is a full, complete strip change. So obviously we go back to the dressing room for that. Like everything is changed, not just the makeup, but the wig. I go back to wig cap, and I also get sewn into not Mrs. I get sewn into Suzy's wig as well because I'm really thrashing around. And yeah, the costume is obviously complete change. So from like stage to back on to start, it is 20 minutes, but by the time you get off, get in the changing room, everything, you've kind of got like a solid 10 minutes because also I want to warm up quite specifically for Suzy as well. So yeah, it's actually not a long time. 20 minutes sounds like a long time. It's not. It goes exceedingly quickly. And then obviously after the show, I tend to just flop backstage, get everything off, and then sometimes we have a Q&A as well, which is always really fun. It's really nice to interact with people. And my beautiful dresser, Katie, gets everything set in between. We have like a list, but I just shed all my clothes and I come back and everything's perfect and set. So Katie is absolutely incredible. We have Chris Hanlon, who is on Lights, our production manager, who obviously makes sure that everything is running smoothly and perfect, and we're like in constant communication with each other. And then finally, we have Evie Rostand, who is our incredible stage manager, who is essentially changing all of the set. Chris does come down to help with the Suzy set because, as I say, that is quite a big and complex change. And the person handing me all the stuff, getting me from A to B, making sure in the blackout everything is perfect, is Evie. So it is kind of a duet on stage, and then backstage it's a duet between me and Katie, and then like telepathically it's me and Chris. So Susanna is the most difficult for the stage manager because the crinoline cage is by far the hardest transition to do. So that is the hardest character for our stage manager, which is nice because then they get it out of the way. Miss S is our hardest character for our dresser, Katie, because obviously it's the fast change. And then finally, Suzy is the hardest for Chris, our lighting designer, just because it's the longest one, and Suzy is exceedingly precise when it comes to lighting. It's very, very specific. For me, they're all bloody difficult for their own reasons, but I don't really get a break with any of them. They're all heartbreaking and difficult, and yeah, I don't get a break. Physically, Suzy is obviously the hardest. Emotionally, I find Susanna the hardest. And then Miss S, I really have to get into a certain mindset because I'm actually naturally quite shy. So to be this like sultry burlesque performer and I have like 2.5 minutes to get into this like headspace is actually quite difficult. So that mentally is like the hardest gear for me to get into, but I think I managed to do it. Why are we not doing more venues? I'm gonna get really honest on YouTube. I approach probably about 100 venues with the show. And I'm not talking mass email, no personalization, just copy paste. Over 100 personalized emails to venues, looking at their target demographic, thinking about, oh, they've got this international women's festival, excellent, my show would work really well within that, or it could work really well in this specific theater that they have. I'm talking about personalized emails. I probably got 15 responses back in terms of like, no, but thanks for getting in touch. Completely fine. Most venues didn't even bother to say, no, thank you, which is completely fine. Like, I get it. It's also really difficult right now because venues have a lot of targets that they need to hit. We're all fighting for funding. And the two things that sell really well are pantomimes and musicals. So anything else is deemed a risk because it's not a famous musical, it's not a pantomime. I get it. We're not going to sell as well. But you're literally, this is a message to venues now. You are literally destroying independent work by only taking on 3 risky things per program. I understand you have targets to hit, and I fully get this. I don't work at a venue. I understand it's really difficult. But you're destroying independent theatre, and it's becoming really difficult for creatives to make work. We can make work, but if venues don't want to buy into it, how are we meant to tour? You might say, do rural touring, do smaller things. There's shows like mine that are not going to work in rural venues because it's designed for black box theatres or traditional theatre settings. So what are we meant to do? I've had this one a lot. Can you come to my theatre? I wish I could, but now we have the funding. We cannot expand. We cannot add any more venues because, as I say, the Arts Council have only funded us for a certain amount and we can't add any more. If the theatre that's local to you wanted to pay the actual price that it is for us to take the work to the venue, then yes, absolutely. but most theatres aren't going to pay that, so it becomes a bit difficult. Will Suzy Homemaker tour again? Nope. This is it. This is the last tour. I never want to get fed up of this work. It's my pride and joy. And I think if I tried to push for another tour, first of all, it probably won't get funded. And second of all, the only way it would is if it became rural touring or something different. And I love rural touring, but this show is not for that strand. So this is the last time you'll ever be able to catch it. So make sure you do. I hope you enjoyed this longer Q&A. Obviously, if you have any more questions, just leave them in the comments below. But yeah, keep your eyes peeled, especially on my Instagram, which I'm popping on screen now. And you will see lots of behind the scenes on my Instagram. I'll try and put bits on YouTube as well, but the best place to see it is on Instagram. And I hope to see lots of you in the audience. Thank you so much to all the people who've already booked on. I've had so many messages from people saying, oh, I'm coming to watch you at Cambridge, or I'm coming to watch you in Bradford, or Skipton, or Birmingham. It truly means the world. And also keep your eyes peeled because we're actually doing a community performance of Suzy Homemaker in Manchester. And that's going to be a very special one. And that is the last time that Suzy will ever be performed. It's a very different version of the show, but it's going to be a really special, really emotional one. So also keep your eyes peeled for that because we'll be announcing that very soon. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Do all the things like comment, subscribe, I don't know, share the video, share the show with a friend, please. We're dying out here as independent artists. We need your support. The more tickets I sell, the more successful this tour is, the more venues will go, oh, independent artists, they actually can sell shows. Yeah, we can. Bye.